Good evening, everyone. Tony Gonzalez calling together the planning board meeting for April 1st, 2025. First, we'll start with a roll call of the planning board members. Matthew Gallagher,
Here.
Jim Sweeney,
Here.
Yolanda Spinola,
Here.
Marty Crowell,
Here.
Tony Gonzalez present. All right, thank you. We have a short agenda this evening. Looks like we have one A&R, 89 Granite Street. We have a return to ZBA, 244, 252 Warren Ave, and a site plan review for 85 Oak Hill Way. First, we're going to start with a motion to review last month's meeting minutes.
Motion to approve last month's meeting minutes.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Marty,
Yes.
Matthew,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Yolando.
I reviewed them, yes.
Thank you. Tony, yes. All right. Evan, the A&R 89 Granite Street.
Yep, this is pretty simple. It's just two neighbors that are basically moving the lot line between their properties. It's just shifting over a little bit. They both will still be conforming to the underlying frontage requirements after the shift. And really, this is something they did a few years ago via deed. So this A&R process is kind of just to clean up some loose ends. But I reviewed it and everything looks good.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion?
I make a motion.
Okay, second.
Second.
All right, roll call. Marty,
Yes.
Matthew,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Yolando,
Yes.
Tony, yes. All right, thank you. Next up, we have return to ZBA, Warren Ave. Attorney John Creedon is representing.
Good evening, Madam Chair Lady, and through you, the members of the board, Attorney Jake Creedon, 71 Legion Parkway, Brockton, representing Mohammed Islam, who's the owner of that location. There's a great history on going back to February of 2018 on this property for this very request. I would just refer because Member Jim Sweeney was at the last hearing, and unfortunately, I would suggest to the board that that hearing couldn't have been totally fair because there was a raid on that house that day by the fire department and the police department because of an actual homeless person inside that house that had a medical issue. And so that was the first thing that came up at the meeting, and it was difficult to, I think, change the mindset of those people. That being said, we're here to come back in to try to put in a 4-family. I can tell you as an officer of the court and the city that it has been previously for at least 15 years, going back to before 2010, signed by the building inspector that the rear lot was a 3-family and that absolutely the front lot was a 6-family. And that's what I'll get into. In 2018, the legal use situation was again signed off by the building inspector, and it said rear lot 3 units, front lot 6 units. In other words, a total of 9 units. We are now down to requesting 4 units, and you don't have to do the percentage math very well to know that that percentage is 40% or more reduction. And I think that is certainly specific, and it certainly is material to what we want to do there. But more importantly, your duty, of course, is to look at it from a point of view of whether or not we convince you, the board, that this is specific and material. But I would add, helpful in the situation, that myself and Scott Farrier and the architect of this project, Debbie Belkarak, have spent many hours since the last turned down by the Zoning Board of Appeal. I think one of the major things, obviously, at that meeting was security. They used the word security. chairman did and the fire chief, that security was horrible. Again, that day, there was a bus there by both the police department and the fire department. I am authorized by my client, MD Islam, to indicate that if we're allowed to return to the zoning board of appeals, that other material things that will be presented will be a full sprinkler system, will be Debbie Belcarrick's, I think, security situation should there be a fire. She highlighted all the easy exits out of all of the 4 apartments to get back outside the situation. She's located the fire escapes. And all of those things are very specific and very material. He's offered to put in security cameras. He's already put in security lighting. And I can tell you, as far as we know, and I keep checking, there have been no incidences at that place by homeless people since that time. Back then, and fairly recently, because I did talk with Evan on the situation, the Boys and Girls Club, who had a very legitimate complaint that the place was ruining the neighborhood because it was filled with homeless people. Well, what better argument can we make to Mr. Helms, who was the actually person that was point guarded by former Mayor deceased Bill Carpenter, to actually try to close that building down to homeless. So for those many reasons, I think the Boys and Girls Club should be thrilled if we go back and secure that building, totally secure it, put in all the things, including the fire safety situations, the parking situation, which Scott will address in a minute. And we really think, and I think that this would turn around the unfavorable decision that the board made on that evening. That was a very tragic evening. We were almost speechless when we realized what had happened that day, that very day. And the building structure itself on different situations was built in 1900. So that wasn't going to change, but we have, Debbie Belcarrick and Scott and myself have rearranged all of the apartments to make them larger, to make them more modern. My owner wants to put in new toilets, new sinks, and all of that upgrading if we get back to the Zoning Board of Appeals. So I think, again, you don't want a vacant building. It is a fire hazard. It is a homeless situation, and I would hope the board considers letting us go back to the Zoning Board. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Attorney Creed. And if I just may, just before we jump to Scott, ask Jim a few questions. What's your recollection of this meeting and the issue with this building? Because I'm confused.
So, Madam Chair, the major concerns, and again, he's stated, some of the major ones. It's proximity to a child care facility, the Boys and Girls Club. They were complaining about trash, about people coming and going. The building itself, when they talk about security, it was the building being unsecured and open, and I believe it was the building inspector that came out and said when he walked over there, the door was completely open. They walked right in. So they had, questions about this owner keeping the property secure as is.
Okay.
As far as the meeting went, that's their general consensus. They didn't have enough general surety from this owner that if granted even more space, that it wouldn't be just more of a mess.
So that's where I'm still left a little confused, because it's my understanding they want to turn this into a brand new 4-family home, so it's not open to the homeless and it's a safe environment next to the children's facility. Okay, Scott, what do you have in regards to the parking?
Madam Chair, board members, it's pretty simple. It is a tight lot. We've got some parking alongside the building and parking in the back. We had 7 spaces previously. We still have the 7. So at our most recent ZBA meeting, when we were denied, as Attorney Creedon said, we had 8 units total with 7 spaces. we've eliminated one of the units, so now we have 7 units total with 7 spaces. So we have a 1-to-1 ratio on the site. So
Which is,
um,
what is that? That meets requirement, doesn't it, Evan?
So when we review these, we take the the decision by the zoning board. They lay out all of the justifications for what they determined, either for or against. So when they're denied, it lists out everything that they basically had an issue with. So that sets out our criteria for looking as to if the applicant provides the. So basically, we figure out why they denied it, and then we look through the submitted materials, and unless everything that was stated in the decision is basically addressed in the submitted materials, then we basically recommend to deny. So if that satisfies the board's parking issues, maybe, I don't know, that'd be up to the zoning board. But I feel that there's other things that were not addressed that the zoning board based their decision on.
Well, I don't see anything else in here. Other than I just heard from Jim, thankfully, about security and whatnot, but that's gonna be null and void if this home is reconstructed into a safe.
So so again, the first thing that needs to be shown, basically, if the zoning board denies something due to no hardship, that's the first criteria. If they can't pass that, if they don't have something that addresses that, nothing else matters, because the zoning board can't give a variance out without some form of hardship. Now, that's for them to determine whether that exists or not. But for the board's purposes here, you're basically acting as the gatekeeper for the zoning board. The zoning board's already made a decision on this case. So basically, and if they said that there's no hardship, that's their first hurdle. If they can't cross that hurdle, the rest of it's irrelevant. If they can, then the rest of it matters.
So what is the criteria for the parking? Because I guess their issue is parking and no hardship for insufficient parking. What is the criteria? How many parking spaces meets the?
I'm not. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. That would be for the zoning.
Well, it's normally in
I think
staff report.
Yeah, I think Madam Chair, with the new zoning that has been passed, the MBTA Communities Multifamily Overlay District, which this property is in, that allows multifamily dwellings by right. And it also says the required parking is a maximum of 2 per unit, not a minimum, it's a maximum. So they're saying the most they would want in our case is 14 spaces, but it doesn't give you a floor and a ceiling. It just says the most we want is 14 in our case. So it just says a maximum of 2 per unit. It doesn't say what the minimum is. So our point would be, and I don't even know who would make that point to, because it doesn't say. I mean, I think it would just go to the building department for a building permit, and they would decide if we're okay. But again, the new zoning that was just enacted late in November, that you guys went around plenty with Rob May about, that's what it says. The multifamily is allowed by right, and the parking is a max of 2. So
that's right. And how close is this to the MBTA?
we're in the district. We're right on Warren Ave on Belmont Street.
Okay.
200 feet, 200 feet down from the courthouse.
Right. Questions from other planning board members?
Yeah,
I have a
Madam
question.
Chair, can I ask a question?
Marty, go first.
Yeah, thank you. Would you, Attorney Creedon, orient me, where exactly is this building on Warren Avenue?
It's directly across the street from the Boys and Girls Club.
Okay, question number 2. How, you said they're gonna upgrade the units, so what size are you talking about?
Well, we've eliminated what was 6 apartments down to 4. And so we picked up that other space, and my owner, MD Islam, is going to do new toilets, new space allocations. And with all the new exits that Debbie Belcarrick said, it's a real clear plan, floor plan that was made by her that shows how easy and what direction you get out of that building were there to be a fire. But again, with sprinkler system, that's going to aid even more to make that building a secure building, and it won't be home to homeless people.
So it sounds wonderful, but you don't know the exact square footage of the units, of the 4
Do you
units?
have a floor plan, Scott, or plans to pull
Yeah,
up?
we have one, but it's filed. I filed it with the.
Come on, Scott, you're an expert at this now.
I know. So, yeah. That's my plan, Madam Chair.
While you're working on that, did I just hear that there's an issue with fire trucks on a main road? Is that something you're concerned with, Deputy Chief Weeks?
The building is almost on a 0 lot line, so it's right out on Warren Avenue. So,
Deputy Chief is going to speak.
Oh.
on it, I think.
Yeah, so Madam Chair, I'm not sure particularly what you're referring to. I do have some concerns about this building, given its history. I don't believe access for apparatus is an issue at this point, though.
That's good. I didn't think that would make sense. So what other concerns do you have, please?
So at one time, shortly before it was shut down, we had a complaint of a woman that was trapped on I think it was the 3rd floor, if I recall correctly. The tenant had subdivided their own apartment and rented a unit to a woman who basically got locked in. They were locking doors on either side of her bedroom that she was renting.
Oh, gosh.
And she could not get out of that bedroom. She had called the fire department for help. She would dispose of her personal waste into a bucket within the room. And then when allowed entry to the other part of the apartment, she would pass through and use their restroom. There were multiple other life safety and fire safety hazards throughout the building. That being said, if, as Attorney Creedon has spoken, if all these issues are resolved and the building is brought up to current MGL Chapter 148, 527 CMR, NFPA 13, if everything is brought current and all the code requirements are satisfied, I'd be very much in support of this project. But if it's a, quick repaint of the building, I don't think that's going to be a good option long term.
Yeah, I don't think that doesn't sound like the plan. It's to reconstruct this house, this building into four family unit. It would have to go through inspections through the fire department, the electric department, the whole city hall would have to be passing inspections. Scott, were you able to pull up a plan, or you don't have one?
I have them in front of me, but I don't have them as a PDF to show you, Madam Chair. I can tell you,
Or
I can
return to
tell you what the
ZBA.
square footages would be.
Sure, would that help, Marty?
Yeah, it would help.
All right, so apartment number 1 is on the 1st floor. That is 500 square feet with 1 bedroom. Apartment 2 is also on the 1st floor. That's 900 square feet with 2 bedrooms. Apartment number 3 is
the whole 2nd floor.
is the whole 2nd floor with 4 bedrooms and a total of 1,800 square feet.
Well,
And then apartment number 4 is up on the 3rd floor. That is 2 bedrooms with 1,000 square feet.
And what is the access to get to the 3rd floor? Can you describe that to us?
Yeah, it's a shared hallway in 2 locations. A shared hallway kind of right in the middle of the structure from between units 1 and 2 on the 1st floor, goes all the way up the middle of the building, all the way to the 2nd story and the 3rd floor. So it accesses all 4 units. And then they also have a separate stairway out the back of the building.
Okay.
So there's 2 enclosed stairways that go from the ground floor all the way to the 3rd floor.
And how many bathrooms in each unit?
1 bathroom in apartments 1 and 2. Make me earn my money, Madam Chair. Apartment number 3 is 2 bathrooms in apartment number 3. That's the biggest one. And then apartment number 4 is also 2 bathrooms.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Right, thank you. Who had a question? Jim? Or is
I
that?
did, Madam Chair.
Okay, Matthew, go ahead.
So there will be 9 total apartments. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that correct?
Nope,
Four.
it would be 7, 4 in the front building and 3 in the back building.
Okay, and how many parking
Previously-
spots?
I'm sorry, there's 8 spaces, so 7 units total, 8 spaces total.
Okay. And now when you get up to the 3rd floor, how many forms of egress do you have? You have the
2.
shared common area.
Yep, so there's a stairway right in this location, roughly the middle of the building that goes from the ground all the way up to the 3rd floor. With access to the 1st floor units, the 2nd floor unit, and the 3rd floor unit, and then the same thing at the rear of the building. A common
Okay.
stairway with access to all 3 floors.
And would there be any form of fire escape for the people on the 3rd and 2nd floor?
To be honest with you, with those enclosed stairways, I don't think there's a need for a fire escape. That gives us our 2 means of egress. So, yeah, I think the new zoning regs in Brockton, we don't especially on 3rd, I think it's 2nd and 3rd floor units, we're not allowed to have fire escapes anymore. Open stairways, they have to be enclosed, which they are in this case.
Okay, those are all the questions that I had.
I mean, I would like nothing more than to see these rundown buildings renovated into nice living spaces for people.
Agreed.
Madam Chair, if I could.
Sure.
So, can you I know you just asked this, but you said you had how many units and how many spots?
It's 7 and 7. 7
7 and
units,
7,
7 spaces. Yeah, historically, there's been 9 units. Our previous proposal for the ZBA was 8 units. Now we're down to 7.
Do you foresee the reconstruction of that street being two-way an issue now? Now that that's probably the tightest part of the reconstruction of two-way.
Yep,
Right there in front of the Boys and Girls Club where we already have people parking where it's clearly marked no parking
agreed.
on that side and you have to go around them. Now you're bottlenecking that with more housing. Do you foresee an issue?
To be honest with you, Mr. Sweeney, the clientele that you would be going after with this type of construction, as a lot of the folks right immediately downtown, especially in these smaller apartment buildings, they don't have any vehicles.
I don't have a car.
Yeah, so I don't think it would be a problem. We wouldn't foresee, the 7 spaces on the site even being used by the residents, to be honest with you.
It might be at the cusp of that half mile of the train station, don't you think?
I've got the
Probably more
map.
towards a half mile.
Yeah, it's definitely within the half mile, looking at the
Which I would
planning
imagine
departments.
you'd probably need a car. I mean, a half mile is kind of a significant way to walk just to get the train.
I think it's.
So I would imagine they would have more cars. So I'd imagine we would be adding more cars.
Well, it's,
If it was some of these the ones that are approved now we're waiting on, they're
Yeah.
steps away. This one's a few blocks away from
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It is within it's within your zoning district, though. It is, within the
MBTA.
the downtown district, and it's, I'd say well within the half mile radius that you also show on the maps.
Okay. Well,
So-
I just wanted to, for the sake of the board, just the street is going to be two-way and
Yep.
and to hear what your response would be. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Yolando?
Yeah, my question was if any core structural elements are going to be changed. So like the roof, any load-bearing walls. So I'm hearing like there will be changes, but is there any like core function of the core structure of the building changing, the foundation being piece of it too?
No, I don't believe in I'm sure at some point the building department would want a structural analysis, but no, no major framing members or structural members. It's really a remodel of each of the 3 floors.
I know they'll all have brand new doors that are, modern and up to code, so that people can't break in there. It may well be allowed only by key, digital key to get in. So it's mainly a security situation, and my client been the unfortunate recipient of all that damage, which has cost him hundreds of thousands of dollars already.
Is he a new owner of this property?
He's not a new owner. He's been co-partnered with previous owners,
Okay.
and they took, I believe, a significant mortgage out on that property and have been maintaining that through all this period of no rental income.
Is it owner occupied or is it going to be?
It won't be owner occupied, no.
Okay. My last question is just in regards to the hardship piece. Is there any substantial hardship changes?
Well, I think that's a zoning board decision, but
Mm.
you know, it's clearly a structural because it was built in 1900. The parking thing, they were non-conforming apartments, the 6 and the 3, the 9. So that would maintain, in my legal opinion, because the original shutdown was as a result of a Board of Health problem. And one of the recollections I have was that they didn't maintain the hot water to be, I don't know, 72 degrees or something. So all that is going to be remedied if we get back to the zoning board of appeal. He's already spent so much money that he knows he has to do whatever the code says.
Thank you.
All right,
You're
thank you. Is there any hands up for the public?
Madam Chair, there is not.
All right, is there a motion? All right, if I could make a motion, I would. Is there a motion?
For the
Make a
sake of yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I make a motion. Yeah, I make a motion for it to move forward with.
And I
Second.
second that.
All right, roll call. Jim,
No.
Yolando,
No.
Marty,
Yes.
Matthew,
No.
Tony, yes. All right, sorry, gentlemen.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Unfortunate in my eyes, because we need this building fixed and prevent the homeless and all those other sad stories that we heard from Deputy Chief from happening in a building like this. Oh, well, thank you. Next up, site plan review, 85 Oak Hill Way.
1 second, Madam Chair, let me switch chairs. I'll talk to you tomorrow. All right. Thank you. All right. All right, Madam Chair, thank you for your patience. Scott Farrier, Holmgren Engineering, representing Tropical Blue Seas LLC, and Tropical Blue Seas is the name of the Vicente supermarket. So what we have for you, and I'm gonna attempt to share my screen again, if I may, Madam Chair. No, of course I get rid of it. Oh, boy. I hope this is gonna work. All right. Are you seeing anything in there, Madam Chair?
No, sir.
I X'd out of it. Evan, could you give me a hand with the rendering?
Sorry, Scott.
Oh,
So
sure.
funny.
Scott, you can do it.
You can do it.
I appreciate the confidence, and I did show at the last meeting that I'm capable, just, you know, not
Yes, you
always
did.
capable. Every
Yes,
now and
you
then I
did.
get it.
So this
Can
is
you guys all
Vicente-
see it now?
Yes, so
Yep.
Tropical
All right.
Blue Seas is Vicente's Market.
Yes.
All
So this is Vicente's existing warehouse on Oak Hill Way, right at the corner of Oak Hill and Industrial Boulevard. Industrial Boulevard, within the last year or so, was extended out to Oak Hill Way as part of the big warehouse building that you folks saw recently. So it's essentially a corner lot now. And they're looking to put on about a 35,000 square foot warehouse addition. The Vicente's supermarkets have really expanded over the last few years. In addition to the 2 markets they have in Brockton, they've recently acquired a market in Boston and also one in New Bedford. So they're doing quite well with their market share, and because of that, they just need more storage space. So we're really enclosing the existing building with this 35,000 square foot addition, mostly warehouse space. And the biggest part of the addition was really the addition of 4 loading docks that the trucks would come in off of Industrial Boulevard back into the loading docks to either drop off or pick up supplies to then go to their supermarkets around the area. As an existing site, there is existing drainage on the site, but with part of our proposal, we have 100% of the drainage on site being handled through our subsurface infiltration system and our detention basin at the corner of the property. It's recently been submitted to the Stormwater Authority and is under review by the Stormwater Authority's consulting engineer. We're 100% confident that we've got a good design here, and we won't have any issues going through that approval process, Madam Chair. So we're confident in bringing this to you as we wait for the Stormwater Authority ruling on the drainage. We have 23 parking spaces on site. Zoning requires 13. We have the 23. The other improvement we're making is just some green space around the area. Right now, there's kind of some scrubby growth around the site, and we'll more clearly define the edges of pavement and the landscaping. And we have some plantings shown on this plan as we reviewed with the planning department and at tech review. So that is what I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Looks clean to me. I have no questions. Planning board members? All right, seeing none, open for public.
There is nobody waiting to speak, Madam Chair.
All right, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, roll call. Jim?
Yes.
Rolando?
Yes.
Marty?
Yes.
Matthew?
Yes.
Tony? Yes. All right. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, folks. I'm sorry to let you all down. I'm going to try to do better next time.
Okay. We
Have a good night.
appreciate
Thank you,
your
folks.
All right.
Thank you, Evan.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All right, roll call. Jim?
Yes.
Rolando?
Yes.
Matthew?
Yes.
Marty?
Yes.
Tony? Yes. All right, good night all.
Everybody.
Thanks all.
Good
Bye.
night. Bye.